Okay. And I don't know how to get my pretty little face back for you guys. So we are just going to go to the presentation. Okay. So here we go. So for those of you who don't know me, I want to give you a quick introduction. I know most of you who bought a retrograde journal, you obviously have met me at some point, but we have some people online that have just found out about me and purchased a ticket. So real quick overview. Hi, I'm Mandy Rose. I'm a relational astrologer. For those of you who don't know what that means, I use astrology to help people have better relationships with themselves by understanding their birth chart. We each have a unique birth chart, and that allows us to understand who we are, not who the world expects us to be, right? We're told in school that we should be quiet, we should be good listeners, we should go be a doctor, but our birth chart shows the map of who we truly are. And then we turn 30 or 40 and we go, oh my God, I don't even know who I am. So I help people better understand and have good relationships with themselves and with each other. So whether you're a parent and want to have a better relationship with your child, you're in a partnership, a marriage, and you want to understand maybe why your husband leaves messes around or what his love language is, we can look into all of those things. I'm also a holistic lifestyle coach. So that's something I've been doing for a really long time. I help people go through their healing journeys, whether they are healing from a physical ailment, mental, or spiritual. And I founded Holistic Soul Sister Company, which is my brand that I use to help people heal holistically and grow spiritually. And I'm the author of the Astrology Retrograde Journal. So we are going to talk about that first, the 2022 Retrograde Astrology Journal. So if you guys have it, what I'm going to have you do is open up your journal to the page where it shows the month of January. So it's going to be this page right here. And in that journal, let's see here. You are in the right top. Oh, hold on, Brooke. You said, I see you. Can you still see me? Let me know if you can still see me. Okay, so we are here at the page of January. So what I want you guys to look at is what I did is created like a rough overview of the month. So every month you're going to be able to read and see the dates highlighted that we have major astrological events. At the top, I put how many active retrogrades. So for those of you who are unsure of like what retrogrades are essentially periods of time when a specific life coach is going over a part of the sky that they've already passed through. And it's a time of reflection, of slowing down, of learning a lesson. So when you see active retrogrades, you're going to get to know these life coaches tonight, and you're going to understand what they're asking you to reflect. So that's what you're going to see on here. I also put at the bottom where it says my top goal for January. I really encourage you guys every single month to write down what your goal is here. Not only is it going to help you manifest, but it's going to help you when you look back next year at your journal and go, wow, look at all these goals that I had for each month and where I was at in my life. So it'll give you guys a little reflection time. Now on the next page of your retrograde journal, let's go into the sun season. So you're going to see Capricorn season. I want to explain this for you guys too, because where you see on the left side where it says basics right here, that is just a basic overview of this zodiac sign. So if you have a best friend that's a Capricorn, you can probably understand this about them, right? So these are the parts of our lives that Capricorn rules: the career. The theme when it's Capricorn season is goal setting. The motto is we work. So what a sun season is when the sun is in the sky in a particular zodiac sign. So all babies born between December 22nd and January 19th are going to be Capricorn sun babies. Now, all of us have Capricorn somewhere in our birth chart. So if you guys have your birth chart handy, you're going to look for the symbol of Capricorn. And that is going to be the area of your life that Capricorn is going to rule during this season? I know that's really confusing, so I'm going to say it one more time. Where Capricorn is in your birth chart, when the sun is in Capricorn, so during this season of the year from December 22nd till January 19th, the sun is in Capricorn. In your birth chart where you see Capricorn, that is the part of your chart that the sun is lighting up, is illuminating, is making bright, is calling your attention to, is wanting you to be active and to shine in that area of your life. So we're going to go over that again, and you'll be able to better understand that. But if you have your chart, that's how you're going to go through your retrograde journal. So I would encourage you to go through the entire journal and look for Capricorn season, Aquarius season, Pisces season, and make a little note of what area of your life. So it'll be the 4th house, the 5th house, the 6th house. And that's going to be the area of your life you're going to want to pay attention to most. I can help you guys with that. Like at any time, feel free to message me, but that's how the sun seasons work. Also, where you see positive and negative energies, every single one of us is going to feel this. The sun is our core, it's our vitality, it shines super bright. It brings this kind of energy during these 30 days of Capricorn season. So pay attention to that. This is the time of year where you're going to feel more independent. You're going to feel more disciplined. You're going to feel more organized. You're going to feel more motivated. So harness those energies. But you're also going to have these shadowy feelings right now, right? New Year's resolutions. We're all trying to get back to the grind. We're all trying to make our goals happen. So we can tend to experience these shadow energies. We can become workaholics, right? Back to the grind. I got to make my goals. We can be more selfish because we're focusing on ourselves and our resolutions and what we want, right? We can become a little cold or critical or grumpy. So that's why I put these energies for all the sun season. And that's going to last this entire season from December 22nd till January 19th. So we're in this season right now. And then also I made sure for all the sun seasons, I put a bucket list for you. So I really, really challenge you guys to do some of these things on the bucket list. This is when your energy is going to be potent to do these activities. And it's going to help you maximize this energy because we go through seasons. Each season is meant to lead us to the next phase, the next chapter, the next area of our life that we want to grow into. So really focus on these bucket list items. And I think it's really going to help you guys as you move on through the year. So then we go into the next page. The next page is the retrogrades. So let's pause for a second and talk about retrogrades. Retrogrades are when a planet moves over a specific area of the sky in its path. It's moving right along. It's doing its thing. And then it gets to a point in the sky and it says, oh, wait, I forgot to do something, or I did something wrong, or I need to reevaluate something. Retrogrades are periods of reevaluation. So it's going to go back. It's going to check things again. So anything with the word reassess, reanalyze, recommit, re-understand, redo, any of those words is what you do during a retrograde. So here's my example. Let's say you rush out of your house and you're going to go down to your neighbor's house and go for a cup of tea. So you run out of your house and you rush over there and you walk from your house to your neighbor's house. That is your first walk, your first path. But then you get almost to your neighbor's house and you go, crap, I forgot my cell phone. I have to go back and grab my cell phone. That walk that you do from that moment back to your house is a retrograde. You are going back over the same sidewalk, the same street, back to your starting point to get the thing that you forgot. And that reflection period, as you're walking back to your house, you're like, oh my gosh, I forgot my cell phone. I should have paid more attention. Why was I rushing? You're reflecting, right? You're like, oh gosh, I should have known, or next time I got to make sure and double check, I can't rush. So this reflection period, you go back in the house, you grab your cell phone and you go back to your neighbor's house, right? So as you're walking the third time in the same part of the sidewalk in the street to your neighbor's house, that's what the planets do. They go on their journey. They realize that we have to go back over some area of our life because we can't always rush ahead, right? If we just kept going and going and going, next thing we know, we're way off track. So we want to go backwards every once in a while. We want to reflect so that we can be sure that we are making the moves that are authentic to us before we're way off track. So hopefully that makes sense to you guys. So that's why I made this retrograde journal. It's these moments of pause, of reflection. So you're going to see in your journal, I introduce you to the life coach. I give you a reminder of who that planet is and what are they trying to teach us? Why are they, retrograding? What are they trying to tell us? So you're going to see that. I'm also going to explain to you what happens when that planet goes retrograde, right? When they reflect, what are they asking us to do? And then the zodiac sign through which they're going, like I said earlier, is the energy they're taking on. It's the area of our life that it's saying, hey, we got to reflect on this, our career, this, our family, this, our relationship. And that's where you're going to find that here. On the second page, every retrograde has 2 pages. And on the second page, that's where we go more into details. That's the lesson you're supposed to learn, what you can expect to happen on a societal level, perfect time to do certain things. So it's kind of like the bucket list items, and then your do's and your don'ts. These are really important because the energy isn't there. It's not time to run forward. It's not time to make moves. So we're going to talk about that in 2022 when retrogrades are happening. So you guys don't get, confused when maybe things in your life aren't happening the way you want them to. So that is the retrograde journal for that. The next page is the new moons and full moons. So you're going to see, you have to scroll a couple pages and you'll see the new moon in Capricorn. And then a couple pages after that is the full moon in Cancer. Your retrograde journal is in chronological order of the year. The first couple pages after like the ones we just looked at are all from starting out the year. But once you get to the new moon in Capricorn on January 2nd, every page after that is in chronological order. So that's hopefully going to help you guys make sense of this. For every new and full moon, you're going to see at the top this little box with a number and a degree and the zodiac sign. That is the degree in the sky where the new and the full moon are actually occurring. So you can look in your birth chart. When you have your birth chart, you're going to have the actual map, but you should also have a little chart that says sun and then certain numbers, moon, certain numbers, Mars, Venus, all the different planets at certain numbers. Those are the degree points in the sky that planet is sitting. So for instance, if you have your Mars at 12 degrees of Capricorn, and this new moon is happening at 12 degrees of Capricorn, you know that this new moon is affecting you very specifically, and it's affecting your Mars, which we're going to talk in just a second again about these characters, about these life coaches, so you'll understand what that means. So for your journal, I suggest that you go through all the pages, take an evening, take an afternoon and look at your chart, grab your chart and grab that little, where the numbers and the planets are, and go through and see if any of these newer full moons this year are happening in your chart. Now you'll see for the new moons, the sun and the moon are both at the exact same degree point, because that's what we call a new moon. It's when the sun and the moon are directly on top of each other. But then down here for the full moon, you're going to have the sun, like here, 27 degrees of Capricorn, and the moon is at 27 degrees of Cancer. So full moons are what we call oppositions. It's when the sun is here and the moon is directly opposite and the earth is in the middle. So we have this bright illumination of the moon. So that's why you're going to see 2 different parts, 2 different degrees of where the sun and the moon is for every full moon. So same thing applies. If you have your Mars at 27 degrees of Capricorn, that's going to be on top of the sun and across from the moon. So I know that's very complicated, but it's just going to help you guys understand in your journal when you're doing your ritual, when you're reading the description. If you have planets falling at those degree points in the sky, it's just going to impact you more than the other ones. Hopefully that makes sense. Also, this theme, this is really, really important. When you read the theme, new moons are about new beginnings, new fresh starts, new chapters unfolding. But full moons are all about releasing and letting go, because it's when the sun is illuminating the moon at its peak. It's bright as heck at this exact time of day. That is when the moon is as bright as it can possibly be. So any moment from thereafter, it's waning, it's getting smaller, it's getting duller. So we release with that channel, let it go. So figure out what you need to release at that time. And then you'll have your moon ritual to go along with it. Like I said, I'm not sure if everyone was on at the beginning, but oops, sorry guys. For the new and the full moons, when you do your rituals, you can do the ritual 3 days before until 3 days after the new or the full moon. So you don't have to do it exactly on the day or exactly at this time. Life gets busy. That energy is potent around the new and the full moon. So don't feel like, oh man, I missed my chance. You still can do the ritual. The crystals, the herbs, and the chakra that I listed for each of them are just tools that you can add in. So if you have any of the crystals, you can use them in your ritual, or maybe bring them to work with you, put them in your pocket, hold on to them, just keep them near you at that time. And then same thing with the herbs. You can use them for teas, you can use them to cook with, you can just use it in your new moon ritual somehow. And the chakra, that's just the part of the body that is heightened, is elevated. So if it's out of alignment, you're going to feel more out of alignment in that area of your body. But if it's balanced, it's going to be an area during that new or that full moon that you can use to manifest, that you can use to accomplish things in your life. So hopefully that makes sense for you guys. So that's mostly about the retrograde journal. If you guys have any questions about the journal itself, go ahead and drop them in the chat and I'll answer them at the end. So let me know on that. So let's go into the life coaches. This is the most important part of this whole thing, because if we don't understand who the life coaches are, none of it's going to make sense, because we're going to talk about things that are happening over the month. We're going to talk about things that are happening, at specific dates. And you're going to be like, wait, what does that mean? So let's go through each life coach. Mercury is the planet of communication. It's the planet, if you guys remember Mercury from Greek mythology, he was the messenger. He had those little wings on his feet and he flew around the sky and he passed along memos from one person to another. So that is what Mercury represents to us in astrology. He is the mind. It's how we think. It's how we speak. It's how we engage and interact with other people. It's passing along our information and it's speaking our truth to the world. So when we talk about Mercury in astrology, what we are learning from him as humans on planet Earth is how to communicate our thoughts, who to communicate with, what we say, how we say it, how we learn, how we gather information and gather data. And he teaches us how to use our voice, because all of us have talents and skills and abilities. And so he wants to help us get our unique message out into the world. So remember, Mercury is the planet of communication. He's got the wings on his feet and he's going around and chit-chatting. Now, Mars, we all have recognized this symbol, right? It's the symbol for men, for masculinity. So Mars is the masculine character in our story. He is the one that takes action, makes things happen. He's disciplined. He's a go-getter. He's aggressive. He wants to make things happen. So think of Mars as that like masculine, make stuff happen energy. And so when we deal with him as the character in our story, whenever he's around, we know that things can get heated. Things can get fiery, things can get passionate, things can get intense. He rules fire. So anything that helps us to take action and to move forward in our lives, to make goals happen, to get things done. But with that can also come the negative, the shadow side of masculinity, the anger, the irritation, the aggression, the control, the manipulation. So those are things that we have to learn. He helps teach us and keep us in check on those shadow sides of the masculinity. And he teaches us to embrace the masculine parts of ourselves. We all have them. We all need them. Otherwise, we never get anything done. On the flip side, we have character Venus. Venus, we've noticed this symbol before, is the feminine sign. She is the life coach to us that teaches us to be feminine. Whether you're male or female, it doesn't matter. We all have this feminine part of ourselves, and that's to love. It's to create. It's to have flow. It's to see beauty in life. She is all about our value system and the things that make us feel pleasure and enjoyment and harmony and all those like feel good things in life. So when Venus is around, we have that embrasion of creativity, of beauty, of femininity. And the shadow side when Venus is around is we can be very critical. We can be self-righteous. Let's see, Brooke, your presentation is tiny. Let me know if it fixes it. Does anyone else see the presentation looking kind of funny? Let me know. So we have Mars and Venus, the masculine and the feminine. So if you're thinking of like a character or a movie, it would kind of be like the mom and the dad. Both of them have their own energy. Both of them kind of bounce off of each other. Those are those characters. Then we have Jupiter. Jupiter, oh my gosh, I love Jupiter. He is my favorite planet. He is the best friend that you put on your best party jeans and you go out with all night long and you dance on the tables and take 10 shots and like have the best night of your life. That is Jupiter's energy. Jupiter is the life coach to us that is all about joy, optimism, gratitude, spontaneity, going on adventures, living life to the fullest, learning, wisdom. He loves to see the world and experience other cultures and just see what's out there. Forever learning and always optimistic. So like I said, like the best friend that you call when you're having a hard day and you know for a fact you're going to have like the best time ever. That's Jupiter. And luck follows Jupiter, blessings follow Jupiter, opportunities, all those things. But the shadow side of Jupiter is that he can be self-indulgent. He can go too hard, too fast. So you went out for one drink, but you ended up having 10 shots and can feel like crap the next day. That's what Jupiter can do to us. It's like too much, too quick, overdoing it, and we can get off track. So he helps us to be spontaneous, to be joyful, and to gain wisdom. But he also teaches us to be adventurous and to trust the universe. So that is our character, Jupiter. Then we go into planets that are a little further away from us in the sky. So those first planets we just talked about, Mercury, Mars, Venus, and Jupiter, are really close to Earth. So we call those personal planets because we can see them with our naked eye from planet Earth. So they have a big impact on us. But the planets Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto are further away from us on planet Earth. So their energy is a little bit more powerful because the fact that they're further away and we can still feel it on Earth means that they're big powerhouses, but they affect us more as a collective, as a community. They bring the energy that's a little bit more engaging for all of us as a whole. So Saturn is the tough love dad. He is Mr. Karma. We call him Lord Karma, the timekeeper, the taskmaster, and just overall that tough love dad. He teaches us lessons. He teaches us how to handle struggle in life. So when Saturn's around, it's not an easy time. It's a very difficult time because we only grow when we're challenged. Nobody grows when life is easy. When life is easy, we're kicking back and enjoying life and hanging out with Jupiter. But when we have shit hit the fan and we teach ourselves what we're made of, that's when we grow. That's when we realize all the possibilities that are in front of us and all the challenges we can overcome. So Saturn is meant to teach us all the lessons in life. So he rules illness, he rules death, he rules karma, he rules responsibilities and structure. And essentially think of like one of your parents in middle school. You come home from school every single day and they're like, did you do your homework? Did you do your homework? Did you do your homework? If you didn't do your homework, you can't go out Friday night. You know, that kind of energy. Saturn just wants to teach us to be our own parent. Then we look at Uranus. Uranus is struggle bus. Uranus is the rebel, the revolutionary, chaos, changes. He wants to always shake things up. He hates to be in a box and he's always throwing curveballs. He's always coming out of left field. It's lightning bolt change. It's sudden jackhammer, like overhauls of our life. Uranus only steps in when we cannot make the change for ourselves. So the motto of Uranus is choose change before change chooses you. So let's say, for example, you live in a house that has mold and you know you need to move and you know you need to get out of there and it's not a safe living environment, but you can't make the change. You're too afraid. You've lived there forever. You're afraid of, not being able to afford a new place, whatever it might be. And then finally, one day, Uranus will like come in and burn your house down and all your possessions in it. And it's like, he was like, hey, you had to move. You've had to move forever, but you didn't do it. So I'm going to do it for you. So anytime you have massive change in your life, massive change that comes out of nowhere, Uranus is usually involved in your birth chart because he's helping you. He's like, okay, fine. You can't do it. I'll do it for you. Let's move on. We can't stay stuck. He hates to be stuck. So that is our character, Uranus. Think of sudden, dramatic change. But he also is always looking to the future. He doesn't want to stay in one spot. He's like innovative and creative and trying new things and thinking outside of the box and like seeing what we can't see until we get to that chapter in our lives. So anytime this happens, trust that he's just looking out for us. Neptune is similar to Jupiter in the fact that Neptune lives with rose-colored glasses. Neptune is the character that is like living in la la land, like the hippie, has like rose-colored glasses on, is always tripping out and taking psychedelics, and life is good, man. Everything's fine. Like, oh my gosh, life is wonderful. Very like delusional, but dreamy. And Neptune comes to us as a life coach to help us dream big. This is like to live life to the fullest. Like you can see all possibilities, all potential. You're not jaded by your bank account. You're not jaded by the fact that maybe you grew up in like poverty. Neptune helps you dream and think way bigger. And so I love Neptune for that. But with the shadow side of Neptune, because you're always in la la land, you can be delusioned. You can maybe not see red flags in others. You can also have very addictive behaviors and kind of like overindulgence of things because you don't know when to stop. So Neptune will come in and teach us that during a retrograde of like, hey, you can't live in la la land. So it teaches us also that our spiritual connection is vital. Neptune rules the spiritual world. And then Pluto, last but not least, Pluto is deep, deep, deep transformation. Pluto rules the underworld. So if you guys remember from Greek mythology, Pluto ruled the underworld, the subconscious, the trauma, the fears, the phoenix rising from the ashes. So when Pluto comes around, it's like making really big, uncomfortable changes. Now, he doesn't affect us on a personal level very often, but he definitely affects us on a societal level. And we're going to talk a lot about him in 2022. He is a major player in 2022. So massive transformation is going to be happening in this upcoming year. And it's all below the surface. It's all like he's doing it behind the scenes. And then all of a sudden it happens in reality. So hopefully that made sense. Do you guys want me to go back over any of that? Anything that's a little confusing on the life coaches? Again, like I said, each life coach is going to go through different zodiac signs. And when they go through every zodiac sign, they're taking on different energy, but they're still always teaching us the same lessons. They always are still who they are. Okay, so moving on, let's go over the astrology, a little bit of a backstory for you guys. Before we dive into this upcoming year, let's talk about 2020. This was in astrology when everything changes, everything. We could see as astrologers for thousands of years that 2020 was going to be very unique, very special, and something major was going to happen. Nobody knew what it was. There was definitely indications that it was going to be something around health. There was definitely going to be chaos. There was going to be this complete overhaul of life as we know it, but nobody knew it was going to be COVID. So it's a very unique year. And that's because Saturn, remember I told you life coach Saturn is all about the hard stuff in life. He rules structure, he rules discipline, but he rules karma and illness and death. And Saturn decided to meet up in the sky with life coach Pluto. And we just talked about Pluto. Who's Pluto? Massive transformation, deep, deep subconscious, major transformation, like throwing everything, including the baby, out with the bathwater, like gotta go. So you get Saturn, karma, tough love dad, hanging out with Pluto, who just wants to have massive transformation. And they met in the sky and they hung out. And so they said, let's team up, let's overhaul everything that we know. So we saw that in astrology coming up and everyone's like, oh God, what's going to happen? And it happened in the zodiac sign of Capricorn. And Capricorn is all about success, money, climbing to the top of the mountain, being the best, having the biggest car and the biggest house and the highest paying job. And so Saturn and Pluto wanted to overhaul this part of society, this part of our humanness that maybe we don't need to have the biggest car and the biggest house and work 70 hours a week just to have what material possessions. And that was what 2020 came in. And that's what happened. We all stayed home. We worked from home. We were reminded of family. We were reminded of the simple things. We were reminded of things that make us feel good and self-care and taking time for our bodies. And that maybe all the money and all the things and all the accomplishments don't mean that much to us. So it was breaking us down, teaching us lessons. We had a Mars retrograde right around the election of 2020. And Mars was retrograding through his home sign of Scorpio. Scorpio and is ruled by Mars and Pluto. And Mars, like we said, life coach Mars is all about action, but he's also aggression and anger and being fiery and being heated. And we saw that around the election time, right? And then we wrapped up 2020 with the Christmas star. I don't know if you guys remember this, but on December 20th of 2020, we had the Christmas star, the Great Conjunction. And that's when Saturn kind of got away from Pluto and he decided to partner up with Jupiter because he's like, all right, we've made some major moves with Pluto. Let me kind of lighten the load and hang out with Jupiter. Or Jupiter is a good time, right? Jupiter loves to have fun and Jupiter loves to party and he brings blessings and abundance. So let's take this hard stuff and let's make a cake out of it by hanging out with Jupiter. So that's what happened on December 20th. Leading into 2021, this past year, we had Jupiter being roommates with Saturn. And I'm going to tell you guys this story because I've gone over this story so many times in my YouTube videos if you haven't seen it. Jupiter, the planet of blessings, expansion, and luck, is the roommate that is the party animal, is a good time. And Saturn is the roommate that's all about, let's get up at 6 a.m., let's go to the gym, let's eat healthy, let's make this, life amazing, but with discipline. And so they decide to be roommates. Great balance, right? It's the yin and the yang, and they're going to balance each other out. Well, Jupiter is supposed to have a 1-year lease with Saturn. He hangs out in one zodiac sign for an entire year. So on December 20th, he decided to sign a lease with Saturn, gets into the zodiac sign of Aquarius, and they become roommates. But by May, he's like, forget this. I cannot live with Saturn. He's so annoying. He's always trying to tell me to like wash my clothes and meal prep my food. And it's like buzzkill. I got to go take a vacation. And he decided to take a vacation to Pisces, which is the next zodiac sign after Aquarius. He just like rushed ahead and he's like, see you later, Saturn. I'll be back. And he went into Pisces. Pisces, now remember this, Jupiter in Pisces is like Jupiter visiting the Maldives. Favorite place in the world. Loves being there. It's a great time. Jupiter is kicking back, hanging out in Pisces, the Maldives, swimming with sharks and jumping off like docks and just living his best life. But he had to go back and finish out his lease with Saturn. So in July of last year, Jupiter went back to finish that lease with Saturn. And he was in that lease until December 28th, just last week. Just last week, their lease was up. So Saturn wasn't as tough, wasn't as disciplined because Jupiter was keeping him in check in the Aquarius area of our life. So if you can find in your birth chart where Aquarius is, this is a very important part of your birth chart. We're going to talk more about that in a second as we go more into 2022. But this past year, Saturn and Jupiter entered Aquarius, but they balanced each other out. And now Jupiter dipped, the lease is up, and Saturn is going to stay in Aquarius for 2 more years, all by himself now. Now he's by himself. So he is going to bring tough love and lessons and karma and responsibility and discipline to the Aquarius area of our life all by himself. No one's going to keep him in check. So it's going to ramp up for us. But meanwhile, the Jupiter in Pisces, he left and went to Pisces permanently for 2022. So the Pisces area of our life, the Maldives, is going to be beautiful. We're going to have blessings, all this amazing stuff. And we're going to talk more about that. So 2021, we were trying to get back to normal. We realized everything had changed. Everything we thought before wasn't that important to us. We want to travel, not have the biggest car. We want to work in a completely different job than we've been working at for the last decade, right? People want to change jobs. People don't care about working 3 jobs and making all this money. They just don't care anymore. We realize our values have changed. And now we have the planet Uranus getting super comfortable in the zodiac sign of Taurus, preparing us for this year's eclipse cycle. So let's move into that. 2022, some astrology fun facts for you guys. This year in the astrology of 2022, every planet that will go retrograde, that can go retrograde, will go retrograde. So that's major. That doesn't happen every year. Last year, we did not have a Mars retrograde. The year before that, we didn't have a Venus retrograde. So this year, every single planet that can retrograde will go retrograde. So we have a lot of reflecting to do. We have a lot of reassessing and reevaluating and redoing and restructuring and replanning and reanalyzing. A lot of that to do this year. Because like I said, in 2020, our worlds crumbled. Everything we knew about life crumbled. And in 2021, we started realizing, okay, it's not going to go back. So now we got to make the moves. We got to take all the information that we gained and we got to do something about it. And this year, we're going to reflect on how we can move forward so that the next chapter of our lives is going to be exactly what we want it to be. And that's what this year is all about, is thinking different, of making moves, of planning, of assessing, of figuring out what's next. Also, all the Mercury retrogrades that are happening this year are moving from air to earth zodiac signs. So last year, every Mercury retrograde that happened in an air sign. And air represents the mind, logic, how we communicate. Remember, Mercury is the life coach of communication, how we speak, how we think, who we communicate with, what we communicate. And he was talking in air signs. So we were thinking differently. We were learning new things. Everything was about the mind. And this year, it's going to be in earth signs. So speaking and communicating in real time reality, the earth, grounded, practical, speaking to people, having conversations about how can I make this a reality? How can I make my business happen? Having relationship conversations about, hey, I want our relationship to look like this. I want to get married. I want to move here. Like having very grounded, practical conversations. So you can take the ideas from last year and make them your reality this year. So that's what Mercury retrogrades are going to be about. So forcing us to think differently and taking ideas and turning them into reality. Absolutely beautiful transition phase for us in 2022. Also in 2022, the US is going through its Pluto return. This is massive and I don't want to get too much into it. I'll probably do a YouTube video on it. There's a lot of stuff out there right now, but essentially all major empires, as long as you can go back in the history books, Ottoman Empire, the Greek Empire, the Roman empires, the Ottoman, like German empires, at around 250 years to 300 years, most empires crumble. They fall because they have what's called a Pluto return. Remember what I said about Pluto? Pluto's massive transformation, coming in and changing things and overhauling. And Pluto returns are when Pluto comes back in the sky to the exact same point it was on the day that person, which people don't go through a Pluto return because 250 years, we haven't made it that far yet. But empires or nations or ideas or whatever come back on that same day. So the US this year in 2022 is going through its official Pluto return. And we can already feel that. We can feel everything that we've known about the US shifting, the way that we engage in our healthcare and institutions and our government. I mean, just every single part of what we consider our country to be great is at this vibration of change. People are asking for change. People are wanting change. We might even have some sort of revolution or restructuring of states. You know, we can see that Florida is open and letting people be free, and then other states are in lockdowns and control, and you're having the separation of like political parties, right? So it's like this whole massive transformation in the US because of this Pluto return, and that happens officially in 2022. We're going to talk more about that in a second. And lastly, Mars and Venus are coming into conjunction. Remember, Mars is masculine, Venus is the feminine, and they're going to meet up in the sky and hang out for an entire month. Super rare. They usually pass each other in the sky and they'll like tap and high five and hang out for a couple days and canoodle, and then they move on and keep teaching us lessons in different ways. But this year they're going to meet up in the sky and they're going to hold hands and they're going to partner up and they are going to make moves together for over a month. So it's Mars, action, initiation, going towards our goals, with Venus, which is all about with love and with beauty and with creativity and with harmony. So isn't that going to be so beautiful? Like when we take action this year, when we make decisions, when we go forward with things, we're going to do it with our feminine heart-centered states. And I think a lot of us feel that already. A lot of us want to move into careers where we can use our creativity and our passion and our heart and give, or we want to build things that are going to, inspire people. So there's this free-flowing energy, and it's going to become even more potent on taking action on things that bring us joy and pleasure, which I love too, right? So you can see how everything's kind of tying in together. So let's go through this. I know the chart like this is foreign to almost everyone. So I didn't put a lot of charts in here because it's a lot of information. It looks like a bunch of symbols. It's a whole nother language. So I'm just going to go through it really quickly one time, and then we'll move on. So this is the map of the stars on January 1st. So the beginning of the year. So let's point out a few things. Right here, we have the sun. So the sun is in the zodiac sign of Capricorn. We know that because it's Capricorn season. So wherever the sun is, in whichever zodiac sign you see around the wheel, is what sun season it is. So that's where the sun is. Now, let's point out a couple interesting things. We have over here Saturn. Remember I said Saturn went into Aquarius with Jupiter, his best friend, in last year. So this part of the sky is where Jupiter and Saturn were roommates. So this is what you're going to look for in your birth chart. Look for this little symbol right here, the little waves. That is Aquarius. That is the part of your birth chart, the area of your life where Saturn is going to be teaching you a lot of lessons. And let me pull up right here on the screen. So find that in your chart. And I'm going to bring this up really quickly so you guys can see. I know sharing is paused. Give me 1 second to pull it up for you guys. Right here. So look at this chart here. Based on what house it is, I know this is probably really confusing. So based on what house, you're going to look at your chart and it's going to start with your rising sign. So whatever your rising sign will be in this part of the chart, and then you're going to go around and count. If Aquarius is over here in your chart, this is the area of your life that Saturn is teaching you a lot of lessons on. So if that's kind of confusing, let me know. Or if you know your rising sign, just put it in the chat and then I'll tell you guys what area of your life, if that's easier. I know it can be super confusing. So I'm going to leave that up for just another second and then we'll come back to it. So that is, you're going to look for the Aquarius area of your life to find out where you're learning all these lessons. Let me see. Virgo rising. So Virgo rising. So you would have Virgo right here in the first house. Let me pull back up that chart. This maybe will help you guys. So Virgo will be in the first house for you. So it's going to go Virgo, Libra, Scorpio, Sagittarius, Capricorn, Aquarius. So for you, all your lessons are in health, fitness, your daily routines, your work habits, mostly your physical health and your well-being. So lots of lessons in that area of your life. So you might have some health challenges. You might have to get into a better routine to take care of yourself or to get your work done in certain ways that allow your physical health to thrive. Brooke, yours is in the 11th house. So the 11th house, Saturn is teaching you all the lessons around your groups and your friendship circles. It's also around being a humanitarian, asking you to make decisions and create new structure and routines that are going to help you give to other people in a humanitarian way. And it also rules your hopes, dreams, and wishes. So that's going to change a lot for you. Jenny, 7th house. I think we talked about this in your birth chart reading. 7th house is relationships. So lots of foundations, new beginnings, learning to create stability and structure in your relationships, contracts, sharing things with other people. So he's going to be here teaching you lessons until 2023, which is beautiful because, you just are starting a new chapter in that area. So I love that. How do you know your rising sign? So you're just going to do a rising sign calculator. So I can send that to you and we can go over it as well. So I'm going to go back to keep going here. Let me open this back up. Make sure you guys can see the presentation. Give me a second. Okay. So then we are going to look at Jupiter. So we remember Saturn and Jupiter were roommates right here in the sky. And now Jupiter dipped out. He's in the Maldives. You can see him right here in Pisces. And on January 1st, on the first day of 2022, he was at 0 degrees of Pisces. He just moved in. He checked in to his bungalow in the Maldives, and he is ready to live his best life. So in the Pisces area of your life, expect blessings, expect opportunity, expect amazing things to happen, because he's going to be hanging out here all year long. The other major thing that we're going to talk about in a moment is the nodes of the moon. And the nodes right here, there's the north node and the south node. And the north node is moving into the zodiac sign of Taurus. So we have this line right here. The north node is going to be in Taurus. North node represents our future, our destiny, what we're learning, what we're growing into. And the south node is going to be directly across from the sky in Scorpio. Transformation, change, fears, manipulation, our egos. And it's having this square right here with Saturn. So this is really important because Saturn is stepping in and saying, hey, your destiny, the things we need to let go of and the things that we need to become are all going to be taught to us through discipline, through structure, through routine, through hard work, through foundations, through tough love. So that's what we're going to set ourselves up for in this year. And we also have, guess who's hanging out here, waiting for the nose, waiting for destiny, is Uranus, the planet of sudden jolting change. He has parked himself here in the sky. He's not going anywhere. He's hanging out here from 2019 all the way until 2026. We're going to talk more about that in a second, but you can just see it on the chart. I'm bringing this up so you guys can see the chart. So when we go over it, it's going to make a lot more sense. So here's a little example. Jupiter, 0 degrees of Pisces on the 1st of January, and he's going to go all the way till the 1st degree of Aries. So he's orange, and he's going to go this part of the sky. He's going to do a little retrograde, and at the end of the year, he's going to end up here in Aries. Saturn, we just talked about that. He's only going to go this far this year. He's only making little baby moves because he stays in a zodiac sign for 3 years. So year one, last year, 2021, he went over this part of the sky. This year, he's going over the middle part of Aquarius. And then in 2023, he'll finish out his journey in this part of the sky. So he doesn't make a lot of moves. We have Uranus, the planet I said of sudden jolting change, of revolution, who's right here. He's only making little baby moves, 10 degrees to 15 degrees. He doesn't go very far at all. And then this north node right here, the north node of destiny, is the only zodiac body that moves opposite, moves backwards, and he'll be hanging out here in Taurus. So we're going to go over that. So let's jump into 2022, the major themes, the major things that you guys got to know, big things that are going to impact all of us. Jupiter and Pisces, we just talked about that, experiencing joy, connecting more spiritually, and living life to the fullest. We have the eclipses changing into Taurus and Scorpio. We're moving more into the feminine, into the self-care, into the pleasure area of our life, which is Taurus. And we're moving out and away from our masculinity, needing to be right, having our egos and our fear and our control, which is Scorpio. We have Uranus and Taurus. Uranus, sudden jolting change, massive revolution, the rebel, like wanting to be outside of the box, taking the shackles off, is in Taurus, which is the zodiac sign that rules food and agricultural, material resources. It rules the financial market, and it rules holistic health. And I just said, Uranus has been in Taurus since 2019. So we've seen a lot of shakeups in these part of our lives and in society already. And we're only in 2022. He's still got 4 years to go. And then Saturn in Aquarius. We just talked about that. Saturn, tough love dad, teaching us lessons, using karma in the zodiac sign of Aquarius. So he's teaching us to take action on our passions, creating more, moving into harmony. So let's break these all down individually. Let's start with Jupiter and Pisces. The last time this happened was in 2012. So think about back to your life. What happened in 2012? What good things happened to your life? Where did things come? What blessings fell into your life? Because these are things that can be repeated again this year. Jupiter brings blessings and luck, abundance, expansion. And Pisces is the zodiac sign that rules our spirituality and also rules karma and endings. So we're going to notice in our lives that we might feel more intuitive, or some of our psychic abilities are going to pick up, right? Because Jupiter brings expansion. So we're expanding our intuition. We're expanding our abilities to connect with spirituality or maybe, you know, the piece of us that connects with, you know, past lives or whatever it might be. As a collective, as a community, these are areas that people are going to be more interested in. People are going to want to talk about. People are going to want to dive in and expand and grow into. Although I remember I was talking a little bit about Pisces. Pisces is all about escapism and rules addictions. So we can feel this expansion energy of Jupiter in wanting to escape reality more. Like, it's the, for example, people went through the pandemic, and now that they're getting back into reality, they're like, oh, I didn't get to travel for 2 years. I'm going to travel the world, and just overdoing it. Or maybe like buying a car that they can't afford because they're like, I deserve it. You know, it's been a hard year. I deserve it. So escaping the truth and addictions are going to be a really big thing. Using excuses to justify behavior. So this is energy you might start feeling with Jupiter and Pisces. But in a good way, we're going to feel really creative. We're going to feel really spiritual. We're going to feel really connected. This is a very creative time, a time to think outside of the box and make big dreams come true, and just believing that everything is possible, this expansive energy, and really growing into spiritual gifts. So if you're someone that is interested in your spirituality or learning tarot or anything like that, our spiritual gifts are going to be very abundant this year. So keep that in mind. Here's a little chart. This is some of the energy. You're going to get once in a lifetime opportunities. Jupiter is the ruler of Pisces, so he's at home. Again, he's in the Maldives. He's at home. He's in his full power, bringing us everything possible. So these are some things that you're going to want to pay attention to. Now let's move back into Saturn. Saturn, tough love dad. We definitely have to talk about this because he's the one that's teaching us things that we don't want to deal with, but we have to deal with. So Saturn is tough love dad. He wants structure. He wants responsibility. He wants routine. He wants us to have boundaries. He wants us to have discipline, like get up at the same time every day and tackle your goals and create a good foundation, because, you know, there's going to be a rainy day and you got to make sure you have everything you need on that rainy day. And he's taking on the energy of Aquarius. Aquarius is all about our authenticity, of being our true self, of figuring out who we are and not being forced to be something we're not. It's invention. I always say Aquarius is like the crazy inventor. Think of Albert Einstein or Tesla. They were sitting in their little, you know, bungalow in their basement, tinkering with things and just creating something that's going to help all of humanity. That is Aquarius energy. Invention, technology, innovation, trying new things to help the world. So it has this humanitarian energy to it. And thinking outside of the box, the alien. Aquarius is the alien, the weirdo in the corner, right? The nerd that we picked on in school, but that nerd ends up creating Facebook. Like, that is Aquarius energy. So Saturn is in this part of the sky teaching us to have this new routine, this new structure, this new foundation in our life that is authentic to our truth, allowing us to be whoever we want to be. And this is amazing. So an example for me is like, I've always loved astrology, but I could never make a living doing astrology because nobody cared about astrology. Nobody believed in it 10 years ago. But now with Saturn and Aquarius, out of the box thinking, people are trying new things, and you can really create a career in anything you want to create a career out of. You have the possibility to make a living doing anything, even the most out of the box thing like cryptocurrency. Who would have thought that was even possible? So this is a time where we create this new routine and this new structure in our lives to be whatever we want it to be, as long as it's helping humanity. People are over corporations and people that take and people that climb over and crush others. People want to spend their money. People want to give. People want to help those who help, right? So there's this huge humanitarian energy, and Saturn is teaching us as that tough love dad of karma. The more you help humanity, the more you are going to receive. The better your blessings are going to be. Saturn is karma. So the more you put out, the more you're going to get back in good or bad ways. So check in your birth chart again where that falls, where this new foundation is being built in your life. He's going to be here from December of 2020 all the way till 2023. And those of you who have Saturn in Aquarius in your birth chart, if you look at that chart, there should be that chart that I was telling you guys about where it says Saturn, Pluto, and then like there's like, what zodiac sign it is. If you were born during a Saturn in Aquarius, you are going through what's called your Saturn return from these dates. Now, we talked about Pluto returns, right? When Pluto comes back to the same point it was in the sky at the time of your birth, that happens over 250 years. But Saturn is closer to us on Earth. So it happens every 30 years. So around the age of 27 and a half to about 30, you have a Saturn return. And then at about 58 or so to 62, you'll go through another Saturn return. And when this happens, Saturn, the tough love dad, comes around and he helps you mature. It's a time in your life where you have to level up hardcore. And anyone that's going through their Saturn return in Aquarius is having one hell of a time. If you have a Saturn in Aquarius and you're on right now, drop in the chats if this has been true for you. Because I'm telling you, like, it is really tough. And I feel for every single one of you guys that is dealing with a Saturn in Aquarius return, because there's been a lot of death. There's been a lot of illness. There's been a lot of changes. There's been a lot of new foundations, a lot of forcing of lessons, a lot of karma coming back around. I feel for you guys. And like I just said, you've had Jupiter on your side, and Jupiter is going to leave, and he's in Pisces now. So Saturn is all alone. So I really encourage you guys to embrace this part to have a better time. More humanitarianism. Start thinking outside of the box. Start being inventive with your life. Start creating new structures and routines that are authentic to who you are and who you want to be, because Saturn will reward you for that. And let go of the old. So we can expect in a whole community sense, like on a plane of the world, new ways of thinking about institutions and structures in our lives. The way that we experience life is over. Remember I said 2020 came around, and 2020 Saturn got with Pluto, massive transformation, and said, hey, let's blow it all up. And right now we're sitting in rubble. Like, I think a lot of us feel that way in our lives. We are sitting in the chaos of our life. And it used to be a beautiful home, and now it's just bricks and dust. And we don't even know what brick to start building next. It's like, do I work on this wall, my career? Do I work on this wall, my relationship? Do I work on this wall, which is my happiness? Like, I don't know which wall to start, and I don't know how. Do I use brick? Do I use plywood? Do I use hemp? Like, I don't even know. And we're all sitting in this space. And that's what this year is going to bring to us, is clarity, retrogrades, rethinking, reanalyzing, and the new eclipse cycle, which is saying, go through your heart. We're going to talk more about that. Follow your heart, follow your authenticity, follow your truth, because you'll get rewarded from Saturn, rewarded for being authentic. And karma and hard lessons around not being a humanitarian. So keep this in mind, you guys. If you make a new business, if you change jobs, if you end relationships or whatever it might be, always thinking about the collective, the people around you, how does this impact others, is going to be what's rewarded. So huge, huge thing coming up in the upcoming year. So let's move into Uranus. I want to bring up Uranus because it really has to do with the eclipses this year. Uranus, planet of sudden jolting change, massive revolution, the rebel, like he's always just wanting to do what other people don't want to do. So change, innovation, technology, he's always looking forward. And he's in the zodiac sign of Taurus. Taurus rules our material goods, our finances, agricultural, like Mother Earth, and pleasure. And he has been here from 2019 until 2026. Can you guys not agree? Since 2019, haven't all these things been completely shaken up, innovated, changed, revolutionized? People want different things, like material goods, right? Things that bigger cars and bigger homes and more money and bigger purses. Nobody cares. Everyone's got a Gucci bag now. Everyone's got, a Chanel. Like nobody cares anymore, right? Like material goods, no. How much love do you have in your life? Does that person look happy? Are they in a good relationship? Those kind of things matter more. Finances. Oh my God. Like remember, everyone would just bring their money to the bank. Or if you had a 401k, you would just let your job invest the money for you. And now people are like, I don't want my job to invest. I want to invest. I want crypto. I want to put it here. I want to buy real estate. I want to choose. All this new way of dealing with money and finances. agriculture and the earth, right? Like people are wanting to create their own little farm and their own little gardens and have herbs, and people are learning how to use herbs to heal their body and going outside in the sun and earthing and all the things to deal with Mother Nature, saving the planet, like what's it called? Climate change. I don't know why that just like left my brain. All these things are getting innovated and changed and revolutionized. And then our pleasure. What brings us pleasure? What brings us joy? Like self-care and our happiness, like these things matter. And how do we get them? So big, big things coming up for us. So figure out what area of your life, Uranus, so Taurus, you're gonna look for Taurus in your birth chart. That is the area of your life where you're going to get sudden changes, massive overhaul, all these changes coming, because Uranus loves to blow shit up. It's his favorite thing to do. So remember, choose change before change chooses you. It'll be a lot easier. And coming up in this year, we're going to talk about that next, is the north node of the moon is entering Taurus. It has not been here in 19 years. And now in 2022, the north node is entering Taurus. And who's been hanging out in Taurus, blowing stuff up, clearing the path, setting the stage, is Uranus. So the nodes are coming in this area of the sky where Uranus has been hella volatile. And now we're going to have this massive movement towards our destiny. It's going to be like pushing us forward, like let's do the things because the path is cleared. So expect massive market changes, at least this year and for the next couple of years. The way that we were making money isn't how we're going to make money anymore. The way that we're saving money isn't going to be how we save money. How we spend our money isn't going to be the way that we spend. The way we handle our money, it's all going to change. Assessment of what brings us pleasure. This is going to be something that's on everyone's mind. And we're going to evaluate things based on that. Is this purse going to bring me pleasure, or is going on a trip going to bring me pleasure? Is sitting at home on my couch in my comfy blanket going to bring me pleasure, or is going out with my friends and dancing all night going to bring me pleasure? Everything is going to be weighed on what brings us pleasure. And a lot of natural disasters. It's totally going to ramp up because Uranus rules natural disasters and Taurus rules the earth. So lots of more earthquakes. We're going to see a lot of like crazy temperatures, landslides, like all the things of natural disasters. And we're going to talk about times of the year that that's probably going to happen. Okay, let's talk about the eclipse cycle. This is a big, big deal. If you guys haven't caught my YouTube video on the eclipse cycle, you're going to want to go watch it because we have this shift. What is an eclipse? Let's talk about eclipses. We know that when an eclipse happens in the sky, that happens at a new moon or a full moon, and it's when all of a sudden the sky goes dark, right? So we see the moon and then all of a sudden it gets eclipsed, it goes dark, and then the moon comes back. Or same thing with the sun. We see the sun, all of a sudden this eclipse happens, it gets dark, or part of it gets dark, and then it brightens up again. So eclipses in our birth chart in the sky, when we talk about astrology, aren't actual stars or planets. They are imaginary points in space. So let me break that down. They are imaginary points in space that's if the moon and the sun and the earth line up at that imaginary point in space, we will experience an eclipse. So it's a point in space. So we call them the nodal points of the moon. And we all have them in our birth chart. And they last for about 18 months per zodiac sign. So for the last 18 months in 2020 until 2021, we were dealing with Sagittarius and Gemini eclipses. So every eclipse that happened in the sky, every single one that they talked about in the news and that happened was either in Sagittarius or in Gemini. And now this year in 2022, they are changing into Taurus and Scorpio, which is a really, really big deal. Because remember, we just talked about it, Uranus is hanging out in Taurus. He's setting the stage. He's blowing shit up and getting ready for this change. And Scorpio is all about transformation, is all about our fears. Like these are things we got to let go of so we can create the new life that we want. So this is meant to happen. And when an eclipse happens in the sky, it's a major moment of destiny. It's a major shifting. Eclipses eclipse things into our lives. They eclipse things out of our lives. They happen during new moons or full moons. So it's a new moon on steroids, new beginnings on steroids, or full moons, which are about releasing, full moons on steroids, massive releasing, massive dumping of things out of our lives. So let's talk about it. Taurus. Taurus is the North Node. North Node is all about what we're moving towards. It's our North Star. When I talk about North Node, think about the North Star. It's where our eyes are focused. It's where we're going. It's what we should be paying attention to. It's the direction of our destiny, moving towards this North Node. It's the skills we got to learn. And Taurus is ruled by Venus, the feminine. So keep that in mind. North Node, keeping an eye on our feminine side, speaking with our heart, thinking with our hearts, making decisions with our hearts, making decisions for beauty, right? Who's Venus? Beauty, harmony, relationships, pleasure, values, the things that matter to us. And that's what we got to go towards. Taurus, we just talked about Taurus. Taurus rules our values. It rules our material possessions. It rules our money. It rules our pleasure. It wants security. It wants stability. So this is where we're going, this feminine energy of our material possessions, having, money, having pleasure, and then learning to listen to our body. We talk about Taurus rules the body, rules Mother Nature. So we have to filter everything through our heart, have more embodiment, feel more pleasure. This is a very big lesson for everyone, to make decisions based on what feels good to you. Tap into your body this year. Does this feel off or does it feel good? And you want to experience pleasure like through your senses. So hopefully that makes sense, right? We experience pleasure through our senses. So I encourage you all to find ways that you can smell nice things, taste good things, listen to nice things, look at beautiful things in your home. Peak your senses, because you put yourself in this vibration of manifestation. This North Node in Taurus is all about manifesting. Let's get to the next level. Let's do all the things that we need to do to get to this next level. But how do we do that? Well, we got to go to the South Node, and the South Node is moving into Scorpio, which is ruled by Mars. Interesting, right? So we are going towards Venus. We are going towards feminine side, going with the flow, being more heart-centered, leading with that, creativity and compassion and empathy. And we are moving away from the masculine, the Mars, the anger, the aggression, the climbing over other people, of needing to do all the things and work 5 jobs and being the best and look at me. We're moving away from that as a society. If you want to embrace the Mars masculine, you're not going to move towards the destiny. We got to release these things, the tendency to, do things from I want to get ahead. I want to do things like for me. So moving away from this. Also, Scorpio rules our karma, past karma, the old ways of being. We can't do them anymore. They don't work. The way that we've done things in the past isn't going to be the way that we're going to move into our future. It just doesn't work anymore. I think a lot of us feel that, right? Going to the same job, or the way that we deal with relationships, or the way that we handle our health or our self-care, it's just not working. So we got to change. So how do we do that? We let go. South Node is all about letting go. Let go of Scorpio themes. Let go of your fear. Let go of traumas. Let go of ego. Let go of your secrets. What are things that you're just holding inside that you just got to let go of? It rules the taboo subjects in life. So this would be death and inheritances and debts, anything that's very taboo. And it also rules sex. So what this means is, for us to level up, we got to let go of some baggage. We got to let go of things that are weighing us down, that have been holding us back. We have to learn to not let fear control our decisions. Because if we're just afraid all the time, how are we going to move towards our destiny? How are we going to have more pleasure? How are we going to gain more money and move to the next level of our life? If we still are always afraid, if we're letting things that happened to us 10 years ago make decisions for us this year. I know it's really easy to say, but these are things that are going to play out in your life regardless. This is astrology. It's going to happen in bits and pieces. Eclipses happen over 18 months. Remember, I said right here, it's an 18-month cycle, because these changes don't happen overnight. They don't happen in one new moon or one full moon. They happen over a period of time, little by little. And let's look at that. If we look right here, eclipses, these are the 4 eclipses that are going to happen this year. We're going to have 2 eclipse seasons from April 30th to May 16th. and October 30th to November 16th. So during these times is when these changes are going to start happening in your life. Things are going to eclipse in, things are going to eclipse out. You're going to start feeling like you want to make decisions based on your heart and what brings you pleasure. And you're going to start moving away from fears little by little, one incident in your life at a time, one light bulb moment at a time, one decision at a time. And that's like the beauty of eclipses, little by little. And after 18 months, you're like, oh my God, I have more money. I have more resources. I have more possessions. I have more pleasure. I have more beauty. And I've let go of so much baggage. So this is the time it's happening so we can build that new foundation, right? So the first one is April 30th. It's going to be a new moon in Taurus. So if you have your retrograde astrology journal and you go through in chronological order to April, you will see that the new moon in Taurus is the eclipse. So make sure that you do the new moon ritual, you fill out your journal prompts, you read a little bit more about that, because this is when the first eclipse of 2022 is happening. And we're doing it in Taurus. Like I said, Taurus is the North Node. It's the North Star. It's where we're going, new moons, new beginnings. So we're going to start out with the first eclipse of the year, moving towards the new. So new, moving towards self-care and pleasure and more money. Like, what do I want? What do I value? Read about it in your journal. It'll help make so much more sense for you guys. And then May 16th, just after, 2 weeks after, the full moon in Scorpio. What are full moons again? Letting go, releasing. And the Scorpio is the South Node. It's what we got to move away from. It's what we got to get rid of. So we have this on our side. It's beautiful because the first two eclipses are actually moving us to where we want to go. And this one's going to happen on top of Jupiter. So that's beautiful. Like, you are going to have Jupiter, who's full of blessings, who's full of expansion, partying with this eclipse, helping us release all of this stuff and making it a little bit lighter. Then we take a little break. Eclipses happen in twos, and then we get a break. So we go through the summer, and then in October, we ramp up again with another eclipse cycle. So we have some changes, things happen, major moves, break, incorporate, integrate, make decisions, and then the next eclipse cycle will happen. So we have 3 total in 18 months. So October 30th, it's going to be a new moon in Scorpio, new beginnings in what you need to let go of. At this point in time, you're going to be so over some of your shit. You're going to be like, I literally have been so afraid of changing my job that I am over it. Like, I'm just going to do it. I can't handle it anymore. I literally don't want to go to work one more day. I'm done. I'm over it. New moon, new beginning, over it. And then you're going to have the full moon in Taurus, which is where we're supposed to be moving, right? So releasing and letting go, moving things out of the way, clearing things out of the way, because guess who's coming to that party? Uranus. Uranus is going to shake it up. He's going to be like, all right, we really got to let it go, clear the path, make destruction so that we can have more pleasure. So lots of big changes happening. Does that make sense to you guys? Am I going too fast? Hopefully this helps for you guys. Now let's move on to the year overview. So now we're going to go through the year. I'm going to kind of go through it quick. It's a little complicated. Hopefully you guys get the major themes, but I want to break it down a little bit month by month, because everyone asks me, like, what times of the year should I go on vacation, or what times of the year should I, launch a business? So let's talk about that. January is work bitch month. Like, get to work. All these planets are in Capricorn. Capricorn is all about making moves, having success, climbing to the top, discipline and goals. So in your retrograde astrology journal, we just had that new moon in Capricorn 2 days ago. New moons, new beginnings in Capricorn, kicking off the year. Let's work on these long-term goals. We've been sitting idly on them. We've been brewing them up in our head. It's time to get to work this month. Then in February, it's going to feel depressing. There is a lot of energy in the sky that is just going to make us feel like blah. We're exhausted. We don't know what to do. We're probably going to see more lockdowns. We're going to see a lot of changes in society, and we're just going to be so over it. All of it. It's just like 3 years of like, ugh, I'm over it. But then we get into April, March and April. This is freaking beautiful. This is the time of year you want to go on a honeymoon, you want to go on vacation with your partner, you want to go with your best friends on a girls' weekend. This is party time. It's all about having the best time. Neptune, like I said, illusion, dreamy, la la land, rose-colored glasses, is hanging out with Jupiter. Jupiter is all about expansion and partying all night long. So they're going to hang out. You have Mars, masculine, Venus, the feminine, holding hands, helping us balance, helping us get right for the eclipses. They're going to come together and hang out for an entire month. And we're going to have no retrogrades in March, no retrogrades in April. This is like feel good time. No lessons to learn, no karma to feel, no reevaluation, no struggles. Enjoy this. Enjoy it, you guys. Because we get to May and June and we got to take action. This is our last chance to make moves. We're going to feel good. We're going to be on a high vibe. We're going to get some recovery time. We're going to have like some opportunities show up. Now we got to make the moves because eclipse season's about to begin. So this is your chance to take action. This is when the eclipses happen. We just talked about the eclipses. They're going to start happening. Change is going to happen. You might lose your job. Your stock portfolio might crash. Like changes are going to happen and you got to make moves. You got to take action. Don't sit, don't be idle. Whatever changes come to you, make a decision, lead with your heart, go with the feminine energy, what feels good, what's going to help you, what's going to help, humanity, what's going to feel good, bring pleasure, and make the move. Take the action. Don't wait. Don't second guess yourself. And then we get into July and September and we got to slow down, slow way down. It's retrograde season. So this is a good time to go inwards, reflect, spend time with your kids, do some business planning, reevaluate, reorganize your house, like just slow down. We don't need to build the whole castle in a year. This is just one brick at a time. And then in November, hide your wife, hide your kids, hide yourself, hide everybody. This is volatile AF energy. One thing after another, hitting us hard. It's Scorpio season. It's transformation, like retreat. That's like all I can say is like, don't get married. Don't do anything crazy. Like just heal, work on yourself, heal. Go on like a retreat. These are a couple new moons that you're going to want to keep in your calendar. Maybe put a note in your retrograde astrology journal on these days. We already had the new moon in Capricorn kicking off this new year. Ignore this. I don't know why this popped up. It doesn't mean anything. On March 2nd, we have a new moon in Pisces. Jupiter is going to be involved. So this is a beautiful new moon for manifesting, beautiful new moon for new beginnings. It connects our spirituality. Jupiter's here in the Maldives, like hanging out with the new moon. It's like he welcomed the sun and the moon to the Maldives for the weekend. Beautiful energy. April 1st, this is very interesting. We have a new moon in Aries and it's happening on the 1st. And if you look in your retrograde astrology journal, it's happening at 11 degrees, which means the sun is at 11 degrees and the moon is at 11 degrees. So it's an 11-11 conjunction on the 1st. So it's all ones. Ones are new beginnings. Ones are new fresh starts. One represents in numerology new. It's the 1st, right? Let's begin. And it's a new moon in Aries, which is the first new moon of the astrological year. In astrology, our calendar begins with Aries, when the sun moves into Aries. So Aries is the first month in astrology. And this is the first new moon in the astrological calendar. So it's the first new moon of the year happening on the 1st, happening at 11 degrees. Freaking crazy, right? Like this is a big deal. So if you're into numerology, this is a new moon of new beginnings. You're going to feel the new. Remember I said this April is about love, enjoying yourself, having a good time. This is a new moon where you're going to feel really good and you're going to want to take notes of what makes you feel good, because those are the things that you need to get closer to as we move through the year. On July 28th, we have a new moon in Leo. Jupiter is the ruler of Leo, and he actually goes retrograde that day. So it's just a moon to pay attention to because Jupiter is bringing blessings, bringing expansion, bringing luck. But when he goes retrograde, all that dries up. Opportunities slow down, blessings slow down, things slow way down. So let's talk about retrograde season. We talked about retrogrades, times for reflection, reassessment, reanalyzing, re-understanding. This is why you have your retrograde astrology journal. So you can go through every retrograde and know your do's, know your don'ts, have a plan, and know what you're supposed to be learning. Every planet's a life coach. It's teaching us something. And when they go retrograde, they're amping up the lessons. So we have no retrogrades from February 3rd until April 29th. This is 12 weeks, the only 12 weeks of the entire year where there's no retrograde. So embrace this period. This is go forward energy. Then we hit retrograde season on the 29th of April, and we start to begin our reflection for the rest of the year. So Pluto's retrograding in Capricorn. If you look at I just copied this from the Retrograde Astrology Journal. So you're going to read this when you get to these points in your journal in the year. But Pluto and Capricorn, we're going to reevaluate Pluto, massive transformation, ego, subconscious, fears, evaluate life and what you need to let go of, control, ego, manipulation. Saturn and Aquarius, we've talked about that multiple times now. This is where you're going to reflect in where your life, you have not been taking personal responsibility. Saturn wants you to be responsible and to have more discipline. When Saturn goes retrograde, remember I gave you guys that example? Saturn's tough love dad. Did you do your homework? Did you do your homework? If you don't do your homework, you can't go out on Friday night. That kind of energy. When Saturn goes retrograde, I want you guys to take notes of this in your journal. When Saturn goes retrograde, he doesn't ask you if you did your homework. He's not going to ask. He's going to see if you do your homework on your own. And then when he goes direct, when he comes out of retrograde, that's when he hits you with the karma. That's when it's like, oh, you did your homework? Awesome. You get to move on to the next grade. Oh, you didn't do your homework? Sorry, you have to repeat the 8th grade and you can't go to high school with all your friends. So pay attention to what comes up to you during a Saturn retrograde, because it's supposed to help you make responsible decisions. So for instance, if it's in your health and you don't take your health based on where Aquarius is in your chart, if it's in your health house and you don't eat healthy and you don't start working out and you don't, take personal responsibility for that area of your life, when he comes out of a retrograde, you might have to go to the doctor. You might have to go to the hospital and find out you have high blood pressure or something like that, right? So pay attention to those times. Neptune's going to retrograde in Pisces. Neptune, all about illusion and la la land and living with rose-colored glasses and life's amazing. When he goes retrograde, reality hits you. You face all the truths. So if you've been ignoring a red flag in a relationship, you've been not paying attention to your finances, and you're just spending all this money, Neptune's retrograde will smack you with the truth. You have to face it. There's no way around it. It comes back around like, oh shit, I got to deal with that. Chiron's the wounded warrior. He's all about helping us heal. And he's going to be in Aries, which is all about anger and aggression and masculine wounds. So we're going to have to face these things. We're going to have to face, why do I get so angry all the time? Why am I having ego issues? Why am I, being a certain way? And how do I heal this? Jupiter is going to go retrograde in Aries, and he's going to come back to Pisces. He's going to go on a little mini vacay from the Maldives because he can only stay and sign a lease for 1 year. So he's going to have to take a little pause from living in the Maldives and figure out, where am I going to live next? I got to go travel the world and figure out where I'm going to live next. So he takes a vacation from the Maldives and he's going to go to Aries. And then he's got to go back. And that's his retrograde, when he goes back home to the Maldives. So when Jupiter goes retrograde, this blessing and abundance and luck and financial flow and opportunities and expansion, all that dries up because he's going backwards. Can't have a party in the Maldives if he's got to go find out where he's going to live next. He's house hunting. Can be really annoying, right? House hunting, you can't party. You got to, check and compare and look at your money and all these things. So make sure when Jupiter is retrograde, when you guys get to that part in your journal, you're not spending money. You're not going out. There's not going to be a lot of opportunities coming to you. So you got to work with what you got. Uranus is in Taurus. He's going to go retrograde. He deals with all those things that we talked about: money, agriculture, our bodies, all these things. And so when he goes retrograde, we got to reevaluate these things. We got to pay attention to them. And then we get into Mars. Mars doesn't retrograde every year. Mars did not retrograde last year. So he's coming in hot. He's ready to retrograde. He's ready to help us reflect on some areas of our life. So Mars, initiation, action, making moves, doing things in life, going forward. When he goes retrograde, he's got to go backwards, and he hates it. It's like pent up energy. He's like, but I just want to go over there. And I can't go over there because I got to go backwards, and I hate going backwards. Ugh, it's a waste of time. So you're going to feel during a Mars retrograde, your stamina is going to go down. Your energy is going to go down. You're going to feel sluggish. You're going to feel frustrated, a lot of irritation. It's like that heat. Mars is heat. So this heat is like pent up. So exercise, move your body, get that heat out in some way. And it's happening in Gemini. Gemini is all about the mind. So you're going to have a lot of mental stimulation, a lot of like mentally feeling frustrated, mentally feeling fatigued, mentally feeling irritable. So this is the time where you just need to strategize a new game plan. We don't got to do the things. We just need to analyze the things. We need to get data. We need to reassess. You'll learn all about that in your retrograde journal, you guys. Like, that's why I made this journal, because it's a lot of information. And as you go through the year, it's going to make so much more sense for you. And lastly, Mercury. Mercury is going to do 4 retrogrades this year. So I don't want to go too much into it, but I just made this slide for you guys. These are the 4 times of year that Mercury is going to go retrograde. Like I said in the beginning, he goes from air signs to earth signs. So Aquarius is an air sign, Capricorn's an earth. Air, earth, air, earth. So as he retrogrades, he's going to be in an air sign, which is how we think, it's how we communicate, it's the information we gather, and it goes into earth side, which is our reality, practicality, making things happen in a physical, tangible way. So taking your ideas, communicating them, thinking about them, and analyzing how we're going to make them a reality. So they're beautiful retrogrades. So slow down and pause during a Mercury retrograde. Here's your do's and don'ts. It's in your retrograde journal. So Mercury rules our technology, our social media, our social networks. So do these things. Definitely do not. Plan ahead. Look at these dates. I don't want you guys signing any contracts around this time. If you have a contract in the works already before January 14th, it's okay. But no new contracts. Don't buy a car. Don't sign any serious paperwork. Don't get married. Like, nothing, because this is a reflection period. You're going to miss something. You're going to have to go back and redo it. Don't begin new projects. Like, don't launch things into the world. Like, reflect, reanalyze, reassess, relearn, strategize. And then when the retrograde is over, you can move forward. Month by month, here's just a breakdown of what we talked about. January is crazy. February is going to be depressing. March is all about romance. April is party time. May is after hours of the party. So we're still going to have some party energy lingering. June, make those moves. Make those moves. This is our last chance, because in July, we start to slow down. August, full on retrograde season. July, we have 6 retrogrades. August, we have 7. September, we have 7. So there's a lot of retrograde energy. It's just like everything screeches to a halt. September, you're just going to want to chill. Smooth sailing, got some retrogrades, just chill. October, full on chaos. Like I said, chaos. November, we're going to retreat. And December, we're going to integrate. So I kind of did an overview of all 12 months. I don't want to go too much into it. I know it's a lot of information. You guys are probably already like totally exhausted. Let me know how you're doing in the chats. Are you guys down for going through every month? There's only, I think, 8 slides. So let me know. I'll kind of start slowly here in January. January 1st, we started out, and a lot of this we've already talked about. So it's just going to be like a reflection on like a month-to-month basis. So let's go into January. January 1st, Jupiter was at 0 degrees of Pisces. We talked about that. He moved into the Maldives. Beautiful time. January 14th, we have our first retrograde of Mercury. So keep that in mind. Pluto is going to be involved in this one. Big, massive transformation. So Mercury, communication, going backwards, retrograding, reanalyzing how we communicate so we can massively transform the way that we are. January 29th, Venus comes out of retrograde. She's retrograde right now, you guys. Venus is all about our values and what we love and our boundaries and things that matter to us, our relationships. She's retrograde. So we're probably thinking a lot right now about who we want in our lives. What do we value? What are the rules that we want to play by? What boundaries do we need to enforce? Are we doing enough self-care? These are questions popping up. And when she comes out of retrograde on the 29th, we're going to have a clear understanding of what we want, what we're going to tolerate, and what we don't want anymore, especially in our relationship, but also out of like our money and the way that we buy things and trade things and all of that. Moving to February, Mercury comes out of retrograde. He starts here on January 14th, comes out of retrograde on February 3rd. At this point, February 3rd, we have no retrogrades for 12 weeks. We just mentioned that. No retrogrades. So after February 3rd, y'all are in the clear. Go do the things, live life, enjoy, create things, make things, go on vacation, like buy things, whatever you want to do for the next 12 weeks. February 12th is a specific day where Venus and Mars come conjunct. It's where they get together, they hold hands, they're making moves. So this is where we're going to feel this beautiful balance of masculine and feminine energy. And it's a great time for relationships or partnerships. And it's right around Valentine's Day, which I love it. Like, y'all are going to find, if you're single, you might find somebody. If you're in a relationship, it's just going to feel really good. Like you guys have yin and yang and you're balancing each other out. February 22nd, it's 2/2/2022. 2/2/2, and it's a Tuesday. Isn't that funny? Tuesday. And Neptune, the planet that we were talking about, the Neptune is all about illusion and fantasy and rose-colored glasses, and he's on a psychedelic trip, and he's like spiritual, and he's having like an amazing time floating through life. He's going to be at 22 degrees on 2/2/2022, which is kind of interesting. So super interesting number. Also an amazing day. Like the month of February, like after this retrograde ends, this is gonna be fun. This is good. This is romantic. This is dreamy. This is spiritual. This is living with rose-colored glasses. Like relationships are gonna feel really good. Then we move into March and April. March, we have a new moon in Pisces. We talked about that, hanging out with Jupiter. They visit him in the Maldives. They party all weekend. It's new moon, new beginning. Pisces, the spiritual sign. Great times. Great time for manifesting. And this is also when the US is going through its Pluto return. This is exact. On March 2nd, the US will have its official Pluto return. So while we're all individually probably feeling good, on a global scale, on a United States scale, this is where shit's going to hit the fan. This is where people are like, I want to be happy. And the policies in this country aren't making us happy. They are pissing us off. They're making us mad. Like, you're going to want to feel good, and you're going to realize that things in society aren't making you feel good, and you're going to want change, massive transformation. You're going to want change. March 21st is the astrological new year. What? So this is in astrology where we begin the brand new calendar. It's when the sun enters the zodiac sign of Aries at 0 degrees. I'll be doing an astrological new year event, so stay tuned, get in my Facebook group. Last year we did a Zoom event. This year I'm going to throw an astrological new year party online. I'll have giveaways. We're going to celebrate. It's going to be amazing. April 1st, we have that new moon in Aries we were talking about, 111, all the ones, the first new moon of the astrological year. So good. Note it in your journal. Do a ritual, because this is a big, big new beginning. This is when life changes as we know it. Like literally life is going to change. This is like wiping the slate, getting over the past. Let's make the moves. April 4th, we have Mars deciding to high five Saturn. They're coming conjunct in the sky. They are what we call malefic planets. Big deals. Mars is aggression, action, doing the things, doesn't take shit from no one. And Saturn is tough love, adding karma and discipline. So when they team up and they get together, we're going to be like, oh crap, we got to make some moves. Like we got to build a new foundation. We got to get real strict, real disciplined. So we're going to start feeling that energy. April 5th, Jupiter and Neptune start partying. Venus is going to come to the party. This is party energy, big, big party energy. Check your birth chart for this degree. I want you to look for 23 degrees. If you have any planets at 23 degrees of any zodiac sign, it doesn't matter. I don't care. 23 degrees is a major number because you're going to have Jupiter, Neptune, and Venus in some sort of conversation with whatever planet you might have. Not everyone's going to have a planet at 23. So if you don't have one, it's okay. But if you do have a 23 degree point in your chart, it's going to be massive for you guys. This is blessings. This is luck. This is spirituality and intuition. Venus bringing pleasure and beauty and joy. Like this is why I was saying that April is going to be a party. It's like going to the best party of your life and then taking acid. Like it's going to feel so good. And it's creative. It's a very creative energy. So you're going to dream big. You're going to come up with ideas that seem so far-fetched. But this is the year to take those and put them into reality. They're all possible. Everything is possible. Who would have thought astrology would actually be in a career? Who would have thought cryptocurrency was a way that we could make money from our couch? You know, all these things that we never thought were possible are starting to like happen. April 29th, Pluto kicks off retrograde season. So this is the point where like we got to start hunkering down. We got to be disciplined. Like retrograde season is starting. And then we get to April 30th. This is huge, you guys. I want you to mark this day and I want you to make this day a day off. I want you to be prepared for changes. Be prepared for a massive change in your life. This is the first eclipse of the year. It's a new moon in Taurus. It's literally one for the decade. Like, this is the new moon of this entire decade. Huge, huge, huge astrology. You can look here at the chart. A lot going on over here. Pisces, the spiritual sign, the last sign of the zodiac. It's all about karma and endings and wrapping things up and letting things go. And Taurus, where the North Node is, where the new moon is happening, and Uranus, the planet of shake it all up, blow shit up, let's make it happen, is all hanging out here. So Venus is going to be hanging out with Jupiter. You can see 27 degrees and Jupiter at 27 degrees. They are hugging in the sky. Venus, beauty, pleasure, romance. Jupiter, expansion, growth, blessings, opportunity, good energy, bringing us joy, bringing us pleasure, helping us say, what do I even want in my life? And then Uranus is hanging out over here with the new moon, saying, well, let's blow shit up. If it's not working anymore, we got to get it out of the way. If you don't love your house, let's burn it down. If you don't love your job, let's make sure your boss fires you. If you don't like this relationship, well, they get a contract to move to Japan. Like, best thing that ever happens to you, but it's like on acid and it doesn't feel comfortable and you're a little scared, but like you're kind of excited and you know it's meant to be, but like you're also like, what the hell just happened? Like, it's going to be a big day. And this is like where destiny is going to take a hold of you. And it's like a wild horse that might drag you for a while, but once you get on the horse and ride it, it's going to be fun. Then we move into May. That second new eclipse is going to happen that we talked about, because it is dealing with Taurus and it's a full moon and it's letting go. This could be a big stock market dip. This could be a big day where we see the market like just fall to pieces. So if you invest, if you do any of that, this is where you kind of want to pay attention. The housing market might totally go upside down. Banks might raise interest rates. Like, save your money, because this energy is going to be potent. May 10th, Jupiter moves into Aries. This is where he's got to start house hunting for next year. So he's not having a party so much anymore. He's now going into Aries, action, making moves, creating the next chapter of life, new beginnings. May 29th, this is a big go big or go home day. This is your day to make something big happen in your life. This is the day where you launch that business, that you put out a content creation, you propose to somebody. Like, this is a go big or go home, put your money where your mouth is. Like, you think you got it, you got to do it. Prove to yourself that you can do it. That's this energy on this day. The stars are totally aligned for major moves. June 5th, we have it, or all of June, we have 5 planets at home. All Mars in Aries, Mercury in Gemini, Venus in Taurus, Saturn in Aquarius, Neptune in Pisces. It's all their home sign. And they all go home once in a while, but the fact that you have 5 at home at the exact same time means they're in full power, full advantage. So that's why I said June is a month of like, let's do it. We got to do it before retrograde season gets here. Like, this is the time of year where like, you're going to do the work. You're going to start now in Capricorn season, right now in January. You're going to start thinking, you're going to start strategizing, make those long-term goals, figure out how you're going to get there, and then come back around in May and June and do it. Get ready to do it. Into July and August, this is when retrograde season happens. So you're going to have all these dreams, all these goals. You're going to have a good time in life. You're going to launch some things, and then it's going to screech. It's going to go slow down. That's okay. We can't just run ahead. This is like my example of, if you want to create an Etsy store and you're like so excited and you're like, I'm going to launch this Etsy store, and you launch your Etsy store and you wake up the next day and you have 1,000 orders and you are not prepared for 1,000 orders. So now you're scrambling to ship them all out, and you get the shipping labels mixed up, and then people don't get it in time. And now they leave you a bad review, and now you can never recover from that, right? This is why we have retrograde seasons. We do things small. We run ahead and then we reflect. We make decisions and then we double check that those decisions are aligned with us. That's what retrograde season's for. So if you slow down in life at this time, it's okay. We're going to move through it, and it's going to pick back up in 2023. July 28th, that new moon in Leo is conjunct Jupiter. Jupiter starts his retrograde on the day of this new moon, and he's the ruler of this new moon. So this is really when you got to start slowing down. July 31st, the North Node, that node of destiny, is going to literally hug Uranus. So North Node, our destiny, eclipses, like things that are happening that we're meant to do, is going to be right on top of Uranus, which is blow shit up, massive shakeup. Like if there is anything that you have not cleared out of your life, if you have not made the moves in May and June, if you didn't make the moves, the eclipses happened in April and May, and something in your life got eclipsed in, something got eclipsed out, a move needs to be made, and you didn't make that move in June, by this day, Uranus is going to do it for you. Remember, we talked about life coach Uranus. He will do it for you if you don't do it yourself. Choose change before change chooses you, because he'll burn your house down. So this is your last chance. Like if you haven't done it by now, it's done. Like we got to move on. We're halfway through the year. Like we have got to move on. August 1st, Mars, planet of aggression, of war, is also now hanging out with the North Node. So he's saying, okay, Uranus came in on the 31st, massive shakeup, blew shit up. And then Mars steps in and is like, well, I'm here to help us take action, right? Mars is action. So he's like, I'm here. So you just blew this up. We're sitting in rubble. Get up and take action. You had the chance, you didn't do it. Now we got to shift directions, change focus, rebuild the house, move away, find a new relationship, like whatever we got to do. Mars is going to step in and say, sorry that happened, but we got to do something about it. Can't sit here and cry, which is beautiful, right? It's beautiful that he steps in so we don't sit there in the rubble and we make moves. August 7th, Mars gets into a fight with Saturn. They hugged, like I said, on this day, there was a day they hugged. Sorry, let me go back for a second. On April 4th, they hugged and they decided to team up. Let's take some action. Let's build some new foundation. Let's make some move. Let's create some structure. Let's create some stability. They hug, they come conjunct in the sky. But then over here on August 7th, they're in a fight. They thought they were teaming up. They thought they were going to work out. And now this is a test your actions. Remember, Saturn is retrograde. So he's that dad that's not going to ask you if you're doing your homework. He's retrograde. He's not going to ask you. He's going to see what you do when he doesn't ask you, when he doesn't test you, when he doesn't give you life lessons. He's going to see what you do when life is good. Are you going to be disciplined? Are you going to still make decisions that are in your best interest? Are you going to be a responsible adult? And Mars is fighting with him and saying, well, I want to take this action. I want to make this move. I want to go forward. My retrograde's coming up. I want to make moves. And Saturn's like, all right, is the move you're going to make in your best interest? Is it creating your foundation? Are you being disciplined? So pay attention around this time when you get this blow up and life seems to take a new direction. Is the decisions you're making, is the actions you're taking creating the new life that you want? Or are you flailing? Are you panicking? Are you making decisions that are easy? Like, I'm just going to move in with my mom because my house burned down. Is that the easy route? Or is the route of moving to, like, let's say you live in Mississippi and you've always wanted to move to Canada. Like, I know it's easier to move in with mom, but maybe it's time to go do the thing that you were supposed to do and get over the fear and move to Canada. And it was like a really weird example. I don't even know where that came from, but I think you guys get the point. Now we're going to move. I'm just skipping ahead to October. September is boring. It's chill. It's retrograde season. I don't want you to do much. Don't go on vacation. Don't sign contracts. Like, let's just chill. Let's reevaluate. Let's plan. Let's be strategic. Let's just deal with the changes that have happened to us at this point. So September, I want you to chill. Don't even pay attention to anything. We get to October. Shit hits the fan in October. One thing after another, after another. October 23rd, we start Scorpio season. Scorpio is where the South Node is, our karma, what we need to get away from, like what we need to release, what we need to let go of. And now the sun is here, shining in this part of the sky, illuminating our fears, illuminating our secrets, illuminating our ego, like illuminating it. The sun is bright as hell here. And we start with more eclipses. This is the second eclipse season. So we have a solar eclipse in Scorpio. This is where we get over our shit. We want to grow up. We want to move on. We're so exhausted. This is, like I said, when you are so over your job, you just quit. Like, I'm done. I don't even care if I'm afraid. I might not have money next week, but I don't even care. Time heals all wounds here. This might be an old argument you had with someone. This might be a relationship that you thought was like forever gone. And now you're just like, you know what? I'm over fighting. I'm over fighting with you. Like, let's just get along. I want to move on. I want to have happiness, right? North Node and Taurus. I want more pleasure. I want more joy. I want more vibration and manifestation. I want more good things in my life. So I'm just giving up. I don't care anymore. I'm over it. That's kind of be the like energy of this new moon, new beginning by just letting it go. October 30th is shit show day of the year. Of course, it's right before Halloween, right? Mars goes retrograde on this day. This is where he's like retrograding in Gemini, all about the mind. Stamina goes down, or energy goes down, pent up aggression, like fire gets put out. And we have 6 other major astrological events happening at the same time. Saturn is in a fight with Uranus. Saturn, tough love, dad, and karma, is in a fight with blow shit up energy, revolutionary Uranus. So this is a big fight. Mars, who is retrograde now, who's already pissed off that he has to go backwards and he doesn't want to go backwards, is having a huge fight with Neptune, who's retrograde. So he's dealing with reality. He loves his rose-colored glasses, but they're stripped. So he's like, oh my God, reality sucks. So they're having a big fight. We have the eclipses, still the eclipses, hella potent. We're in the middle of eclipses. Venus is smashed in between the sun and the moon. She's super uncomfortable there. And Jupiter has to go back to Pisces. So he just got back on the 28th and now he's back in the Maldives. So that is a beautiful thing, but just a lot of chaos, a lot of energy, a lot of fights, a lot of confusion, a lot of like, holy shit, I don't even know what to do. So Mars retrograde, I'm gonna retreat. I'm not gonna think, I'm not gonna act, I'm not gonna do anything. I'm just gonna go hide. Hide your wife, hide your kids, hide yourself. Like that is the energy on this day. Then we move into November, December, super quick. This is the last slide. November 7th, not a fun day. I put it up here because it's not fun. We have over here in the sky, the South Node, which is our karma, which is letting go. We've just been dealing with so much shit. And we have Mercury over here. We have Venus, we have the sun. This is just like a really uncomfortable day. I'll talk way more about it so far out, but just keep this day in mind. November 8th, we have the second eclipse in that cycle. Remember, it's one eclipse and then the second eclipse within 2 weeks of each other. This is a big, major natural disaster possibility day because full moon, the moon is bright as hell. The moon rules our emotions. It's in Taurus. It's conjunct Uranus, like just a lot of possibility of finances, planet Earth, like just major shakeup. Major. We all know that full moons already make us feel a little weird. Now you throw Uranus into the mix, which is blow shit up energy, on top of an eclipse, which is a full moon on steroids. It's going to feel a little weird. And then December 7th, we have a full moon in Gemini, which is happening right on top of Mars retrograde. So December is just going to be a very like, let's just integrate what we know. Let's just figure out what's going on. Let's get our bearings. Like, we're going to just be like, all right, so much has happened. I'm a totally different person. My life looks totally different. And I'm so happy about it, but I still got to like figure out how to make this work. So that's kind of like the December energy. Here's your final reminders. Save your money. Uranus and Taurus started in 2019, is lasting till 2026. This is just the beginning of our financial crisis in not only the US, but the world. So save your freaking pennies. Like, decide what you value. Do you really value the thing you're buying? Are you going to be happy with that purse if you have no more money in your bank account? Like, really assess and spend what is truly valuable to you. This is like the biggest advice I could give you. Also, tackle your fears head on. That South Node eclipse cycle that's happening for us for 18 months in Scorpio. Scorpio is all about our fears. We can't make decisions based on our fears anymore. How are you going to get to the next level of your life if you're going to be afraid of the same thing forever and ever? Fears don't just go away. They go away when you prove to yourself that you don't have to be afraid of them anymore. And that's kind of what this year is going to teach you, that you are stronger than you think, you can accomplish more than you think, and that the world is changing around us. So everything like that we've been afraid of, we don't have to be afraid anymore because it's all possible. Also, choose change before change chooses you. Uranus is like a big player this year. Find pleasure, find pleasure, find pleasure in every little thing. There's gonna be so many changes, so much chaos, so much like different energy, all good. It's all gonna pan out to be beautiful changes, but change can be uncomfortable. So to get through the changes and the upsets and the discombobulation of life, you gotta have pleasure in the little things. So I want you to think of what brings you pleasure. I don't mean joy, I don't mean happiness, I mean pleasure. Pleasure is experienced through our senses. What do you like to taste? Do you have a favorite tea? Drink it every morning. Do you have a favorite scent? Do you love peppermint? Put it in your shower. You know, every time you take a shower, put peppermint in your shower every morning. Like, think how that would change your vibration of the entire day if you put your favorite scent as an essential oil in your shower? Do you like silk? Do you like fur? Like, what do you like to feel on your skin? If you love silk, it's silky pajamas. Like, figure out your sensory experience and indulge in them in little ways every day on a consistent basis. Because even when life is chaotic, if you come home and you put on like some calming music and get in your comfy pajamas and put on a candle that you love, doesn't life just feel okay just for a minute? So find your pleasure. And I want you to think outside the box. This is the year to think outside of the box. If you've had a business in mind, if you've had an idea, if you've had a career, if you've had something that's like you've wanted to do, but you just felt like society wouldn't be open to it, or maybe people would think you're weird, or do it. Do it, do it, do it. It's like the most popular YouTube accounts are people that like talk about stuff that no one else talks about, right? People have new jobs that like weren't even jobs, like a social media content creator. Like that wasn't even a job. Like, think outside of the box, like do it, because this is the time. And then what is taboo will become your moneymaker, because people are craving talk of real situations. So here's an example. Scorpio rules death. Our South Node is in Scorpio. It's like highlighting and letting go of these fears around death. And I just had a conversation with someone who is going to school. They're a life coach, and they're going to school to become a death doula. So they help people transition into death. Instead of like a birth doula, they're a death doula. And they help the families understand death, like with their wills and like all this stuff. So it's like a life coach for death, which, like, who wants to do that? That's such a taboo topic. Like, it sounds so eerie, but it's going to help people deal with a certain part of life, right? It's a taboo topic. And now it's going to be a career that this person's going to change humanity. Again, back to this, do things that are going to help humanity, and you can't go wrong this year. So keep those things in mind. I know that was a lot. So thank you guys so much for bearing through all of this. I knew it would be probably 2 hours. So here's your final thing. So now what? I want you to set your intentions. We're in Capricorn season. Do your new moon in Capricorn ritual, create your vision board, plan those long-term goals, write them down, and come back to them. Plan your year. We just went over some major dates for you guys. So plan that year, figure out what you want to do, put some vacations on the book, enjoy some things, and then find times to slow down. If you haven't purchased your Retrograde Astrology Journal, definitely do that. You can get a hold of me. I'll send it out right away tomorrow, because everything we talked about is in here. And it's going to help guide you in a way more simple way. And get your personalized birth chart reading. I think I've done readings for some of you guys for this year that are on right now. But we're going to talk about what area of your life Jupiter is bringing blessings. We're going to talk about where Saturn is teaching you lessons. We're going to talk about where Uranus is going to blow stuff up. Like, we're going to break it down in a way that's going to help you guys make sense of it before it happens. So get a hold of me. I have availability for January. I'm going to be raising my prices in February. So let me know if you want to do a birth chart reading. And that's all I have for you guys. So thank you so much for spending 2 hours with me. Thank you for letting me be your coach using the stars. I hope this made sense. I'm so sorry if I talk too fast. I know it's a lot of information. So you're going to get the recording. It's going to help you guys. You can listen to it again and again. Feel free to message me any questions. I am going to stop sharing the screen. I'll stay on for probably another 15 minutes. So if you guys have questions, drop them in the chat or just unmute yourself, and I'm going to stop the recording. So anything you ask me won't be recorded. Let me open the chat. Mind is blown. I'm going to have to watch this monthly. You're so welcome, Eden. I'm so glad you hopped on today. Debbie, you're welcome. I know you're going through your Saturn in Aquarius, so mad props to you. You guys are so welcome. Let me stop the recording. And then if you guys want to say anything, just let me know. Oops. Okay, now I'm just pushing buttons. So hold on. Give me a second. Stop recording.